Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex, and on this channel we document the growth of a $100,000 account I've made for my newborn son. We're growing the account using technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and some news. And on the week ahead segment, we outline the technical picture of all the major markets, including the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, Bitcoin, and gold. If that's something you're into, stick around. All right, so we like to start every video with some news updates. And this week we have some interesting things going on over the weekend where Trump concluded a trade deal with the European Union, which includes 15% tariffs, but also they're going to be buying 750 billion in energy, and they're going to be investing about 600 billion in American manufacturing. We're going to figure out the details later on, but that's the news headline on that. Also, we got the news that U.S. is going to extend the China trade talks by another 90 days, and I believe for the market, the China trade talks is the big news item, or the big market moving news item that's going to come, and news catalyst. So we're going to keep monitoring that. And also, I mean, this week we're going to get a lot of earnings. So I'm going to do some technical analysis on the major markets, but at the end of the day, the fundamentals move the markets as well as the TA. And it's just we're gonna get a lot of it this week. As you can see, this is the weekly picture of earnings. So Wednesday's a big day with Meta, Microsoft, and Robinhood. Lam Research, Qualcomm. There's a lot of big names reporting on Wednesday and Thursday. With Apple and Amazon. So yeah, this is a very busy week. I think also on Wednesday we got the Fed meeting, and so it's going to be a very, very news and earnings related week. So with that, let's go on to the Market Monitor and see what's going on there. All right, so for those of you who are new to the channel, the Market Monitor is a collection of data I've taken over time. It basically tracks every single stock in the market, whether it's in an uptrend, downtrend, or sideways. And whether the stocks are earning at the high of the day, low of the day, VIX indicators, all that sort of stuff. And I use this to help my investing process because it's not just a stock market, it's a market of stocks. So with that, if you guys are curious about how it works, I linked a link in the description that explains everything if you guys want to figure that out. All right, so with that, let's go see where we're at. All right, so currently we are Market Monitor yellow, and we are day 12 yellow. And so far we've gone 1.6%, and the average yellow cycle lasts about 8.8 days and moves about negative 0.35%. And actually, the last, I think on Friday and also today, we actually removed a distribution count. So now we're back to 4. So yeah, this has been a very strong yellow cycle, as you guys will see later on in the video when I show you guys the cycle forecast. Just a very strong cycle we're in, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening under the surface, but the indexes themselves are just holding strong. So yeah, with that, let's go check out the stage analysis. So as you can see here, we have 12% of stocks in stage 1, 54% of stocks in stage 2, 12% of stocks in stage 3, and 22% of stocks in stage 4. And same thing as I said last week. There's a lot of bearish action underneath the surface, even though the market indexes are going higher, where the number of stage 4 stocks is above this average 16. So I basically just take the average of the last 16 periods, and that gives me a kind of a breadth momentum indicator. And yeah, it seems like more bearish action is present in the market rather than bullish. We're losing a lot of bullish indications, where, as you can see, with the stage 2 stocks down from 61% to 54, and stage 4 is up to 22% from 15. So bearish underneath this surface. So moving onwards to some VIX indicators, this is another very interesting thing. As you can see here, the VIX is about 15, which is very, very low. The correlation index is underneath 10, so it's at 9, which is a very low reading, very bullish reading, which is very interesting. We got 62 stocks that are making 20% moves in 5 days. That's another very bullish reading. Muted higher highs and lower lows. And as you can see here, this bearish combo, of the last, say, 10 days, 4 of those days have been very bearish. So that's interesting as well. A lot of small caps and leading names are going down, but the indexes are holding up. Yeah, interesting market. Moving onwards to some overbought and oversold indicators. The 45 Bollinger Band was overbought last week. Top peaked out at 246. Now we're down to 117. Also showing, highlighting the bearish action in the market. Nothing going on in the 5% moves. And we had an uptrend here with this STMU. And now we got a major sell signal today. And actually we got the STMD kind of ticking up here. So I think we're going to go down pretty quickly here. And I was also thinking that going into earnings, you rally into it and then the news comes and they sell the news. So I'm thinking, perhaps the earnings this week are going to be the catalyst to push the market lower. As you can see, the TD sell is still a little bit overbought, nothing there. Yeah, so that's that. And then moving on to the anxiety index, still a little high at 23K, which is bullish longer term. But as you can see, we peaked out at 75%, 63P column here, and now it's down to 66. So it's sold off quite considerably. But the long-term breadth is actually starting to tick up. So we're getting rid of some of this older bearish data. So that would be good. And once we finally get this pullback, which I think will be a little severe, that will be it for a continued long-term uptrend. So with that, let's get into the major markets and see what's going on. All right. So what you're looking at here is the Russell 3000, ticker symbol IWV. And I like to use this ETF because it follows the markets that I trade much more than, say, the S&P 500 or the QQQ. And as you can see, it's just grinding higher. And yeah, this line right here was the line in the sand to remove one of these distribution days. So we're starting to remove distribution days. This is a very strong rally. And as I was saying earlier in the Market Monitor segment of the video, I draw out these cycle forecasts where essentially this is like the average number of days, 10 bars or 9 bars or what have you, and then the percentage move. So as you could see, you could just see here we're above average in the length and above average in the upside, and we were like that, just same on the last green cycle. So this is just a very strong market, much stronger than average. So with that, let's get into some TA on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ and Bitcoin and gold. So what I wanted to do today is I actually wanted to start with Bitcoin. So we were saying in some earlier videos that Bitcoin was very strong, and that because, it kind of topped out here and had this reaction, that it was done going up, and that we would monitor the reaction. We also spoke about this candle being kind of the line in the sand that Bitcoin needs to stay above in order to continue the uptrend. And Bitcoin is doing that. It's just staying above that line in the sand right here, this major candle right here. Yeah, that would keep it in a very bullish market. So there's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. Bitcoin looks very strong here. Especially with this test, I guess yesterday or Friday, when it went down and had this wick undercut this is just in a nice little sideways consolidation. And yeah, if we compare the waves, just a very strong wave here, okay, where Bitcoin was up about 22%, and then we're just going sideways here. And I like the fact that it undercut this little area right here. See this little reaction right there, and it undercut here, okay, and it's rallying. So very bullish for Bitcoin. It's called a spring, okay, in Wyckoff terms. When you have a run, there's a climax, it reacts, okay, and it forms this is where the range forms, okay? So right here and right here, these candles right here. Just draw this one for you guys. Okay, so right here. So this is our range on Bitcoin for now. And then we like how it undercuts this range. And yeah, it came back inside. And now it should, you know, make a move for the upside. So yeah, I mean, I would be bullish on Bitcoin this week just based on Friday's candle alone. So yeah, and you know, we're above all the moving averages. It is a little stretched, but since we're just getting started here into all-time highs, there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, it could continue to go sideways in this little range, but yeah, we'll just continue to monitor it. If it goes above, let's say this area right here, you know, 68 on IBIT, we'd be bullish on it, and yeah, it should go because it already tested this low end of the range. Nothing wrong with Bitcoin. So that's Bitcoin. Okay, so let's move on to the S&P 500. Now, if you compare Bitcoin to the S&P 500, it's a little weak, but yeah, S&P 500 just continues to have no down days and have a nice rally here. You know, we were saying after this is kind of the line in the sand. I think last Monday we were saying that it should pull back here because it had this upside reversal, and it tried to, okay, on Tuesday, and then it reversed. So this was kind of your indication that it wasn't going to continue to the downside, and once it broke that, it was going to go up higher. So, you know, S&P remains very strong. You know, one thing I wanted to show you guys was this beautiful little Wyckoff base here. So we were showing the daily chart earlier. You know, if you look here, this is the hourly chart, and yeah, just a beautiful little structure right here on S&P 500, where, you know, we had our reaction, okay, creates this range. This is actually where I think Bitcoin is, right? You know, because it had that shakeout, it had that spring, and then boom, breaks out, tests, and then moves to the upside. And I think this move is done. You know, break out of the range, makes a nice move. It's going to go sideways from here or to down. So that would be my, you know, just what I'm seeing on the S&P 500. But we are starting to remove distribution days, and it continues to show strength. And seeing how the VIX is very low, the correlation index is very low. We could just continue to rally and then go parabolic, sort of akin to what had happened. Here, let me see if I can change this. And the 2-day chart, you know, going back to COVID, you know, it feels something like this, where it breaks out of this range, and we're right here. Okay, now this is a breakout of the all-time high, but you know, and then it had this nice little climactic move right here. That would be, and then you know, then we had the September sort of, and it's the same time period as well. You know, August out there in COVID. So, you know, boom, this is the range, test, breaks on S&P 500, and then we have the climactic run, and then the decline after that. So, you know, if you look at it here and we go back to what we're doing here, it's a little bit smaller scale, but it's the same kind of idea, you know. Okay, boom, range, spring. Actually, yeah, if I go back to the hourly, you can kind of see it even better. Yeah. So, you know, boom, test, spring, boom, test here, breakout, and then it could go climactic move. So that would be what I'm seeing in S&P 500 if we continue the upside, or we could kind of, the earnings could derail everything, and it could be like that. So, all right, moving onwards to the QQQ. QQQ, nothing different. You know, if we go back to the hourly and we look, because now the ranges are getting smaller and smaller. So if we go back here, Yeah, we drew it. This is just in a kind of, it wasn't really a range. I mean, it's kind of in a range. If we look up here, yeah, it's just an uptrending sort of a range here, similar to, okay, so here's the S&P 500. Here's the test, boom, boom. And then we create a parallel line here. It would just be in a trend channel, sort of thing. So, I mean, we could be just testing the top of this channel, and then it's going to go back down to the bottom of the channel. That seems what it's what it's doing. But given that this kind of wave right here on the QQQ is a bit stronger, and then we had this major reaction here, and then it's a little bit weaker, you could expect a reaction right there. That could be in the cards as well for the QQQ. So that's QQQ. I mean, I don't really see anything else. I mean, yeah, we still have this very strong wave, and it's just kind of grinding. So it is weaker than this previous wave, but we haven't had 2 consecutive down days. Every time we get one of these down days, it just rallies right after. But I mean, we can compare this rally, compared to this one. This one's getting weaker, okay? And then this rally compared to this one, it is much weaker as well. So we're just going to have to see. It's set up to the downside. So that's interesting there. All right, moving on to gold. Yeah, we were saying last time, I think it was here, gold was very strong. It was bouncing off the quarterly moving average, but it just went right back up to the top of the range. Here, let me just delete this. It just went back up to the top of the range, and I was kind of wanting it to undercut this range one more time, maybe come down and then boom, undercut it here and then spring, because it's a little extended here. The distance between this average and this average, it's just very vulnerable. I mean, it's been like that for the entire time. But I could totally see that. I could see it, now it's losing this average. So there's going to be a lot of guys selling. And now it's at the low end of the range, and I don't see a lot of volume coming in to support this thing. Because every other time we got to the low end of the range, there would be a lot of volume to come in to support it. And on the way down, it wasn't just straight every day down. This is the first time it's done 4 days in a row of down inside this range. So this is the weakest down wave we've seen so far, just in terms of daily negative action. So I could totally see gold undercutting like we were talking about. And then if it did undercut, it would go it would go very fast. And then if it was to stay bullish, it would V instantly, like a spring, like you see on all those other indexes. So with that, I mean, that's basically all I see in those major markets. Oh, man, I didn't talk about this at the beginning, but maybe we check out crude oil. So with all these energy deals going on, I was always really bullish on energy, XLE, very long term, because it just had this monthly structure here that just looks like energy wants to explode, and it's going to be the best performing asset for a very long time. So who knows? But they're trying to kick everybody out of this thing, with this kind of stuff here. If it gets above this area, I mean, oil prices could explode. Now, I can't tell you why. Maybe all these energy deals, or maybe China comes back from being in a slump there. But there's a lot of volume in the USO, and we're breaking to the upside on oil. And we had a nice day on oil. This could be the time. And then with that, would take down all the tech stocks and take down everything else. So with that, that's a little extra for you guys. Hey, if you guys like the content, feel free to like and subscribe. Hey, write a comment if you think I'm wrong or you think I'm missing something. I appreciate all the comments. We're getting some more people to watch. Really appreciate every single one of you. And thank you so much. Have a great week. Take care.